Okay, Juan, I've got your work up. Thank you so much for your submission. And I just want to address your writing. Good job describing your experience with the assignments so far. This is really great. I want you guys to keep doing this as you submit your assignments throughout the duration of the class. And even in your other classes, it's a really good idea to really detail your experience. And the reason I say that is because it allows we instructors a really keen insight into your learning process. Quite often, and you've heard this if you've looked at some of the other videos in this forum, you've heard me say this a few times. I learn as much reading your writing and reading about your experience with the project. I learn as much about what you're learning as I do by looking at the work. So it's really important to keep this up. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and jump right over to the ad, which I have up in here in a separate window. So let's go ahead and fit that in the window, which it looks perfect right now, and we'll go ahead and get started. I think generally the magazine ad is good. You've got some concerns here that I think that we need to address, and one of them is the type. You're talking about the type. You're saying that the only thing you can do is use black type. And this, if you really think about this one, you're kind of painting yourself into a corner because what you're saying is, okay, I've got my image. I have to use black type because it's the only thing that works with this image. Well, if you want to use a different hue in your type, that may entail selecting a different image. Don't think because you've selected this image so far, you're stuck with it. You're free to change the image. And that this is quite often happens in the design process where you find one avenue and you start contemplating and considering this avenue and even start executing this avenue for completion. When you get halfway down that road and you realize, hey, this might not work because this image might not be able to hold text the way I thought it would. That's a very, very common event in design and in design planning. As you become more experienced as a designer, you'll be able to you'll gain more foresight. You'll be able to develop the experience to be able to look at a picture, an image, and say, well, this isn't going to work because it's too busy to hold type, or the place the placement of type here will impede harmony in the magazine ad. So these are real world situations, and I do want to address it. I don't think that's the situation here. I think that with some reformatting here, we'll be just fine. Okay, I think the background image is excellent. It's really done well. The tonal distribution that you've created with your adjustments is gorgeous. I think the color is great. It doesn't look artificial. You haven't infused too much color via saturation or vibrance, so it looks like a very, very natural and inviting scene. Excellent. The masked image looks good. Right now, my main concern is the layout and typography. Now, if you jump over to the course announcements, way up at the top, you'll see this announcement called, there's two of them I want you to look at. One is called Should I Stroke My Text? And the other is Should I Center Align My Text? And there's some really good stuff in here for you to read and take forth with you in your student design career regarding center alignment of type, center placement of type, and stroking type, which you haven't done. But this center alignment is not typically the most interesting way to present text. What's happening here is you're impeding the ability for the viewer to take in and absorb the whole image. And the reason is because you've got this text placed over the image. So it's really difficult to take in the image and take in the text at the same time. If you look at the examples in the course announcements, you'll see that none of them have the type placed right over the image. They're all incorporated within the image somewhere. Okay, so none of this image is being obstructed by type, and we see it over and over and over again in these wonderful examples. Now, we can do that with your example. I think you've got way too much text here for a magazine ad, way too much. I mean, it's not likely anybody is going to read through these two pretty extensive paragraphs. So I recommend that you combine these into one paragraph and really condense it. Raffle trip giveaway is a good headline. That's good. You've established a left margin with the placement of this. Let's use that left margin. Let's place that all-inclusive in that left margin. Okay, and increase the type size of the headline a little bit. Take a look at this relationship right here for an idea. Okay, at that point, what you can do is come right down here, draw a guide where the G begins, and then create a text box, something like this. Or you can even go in a little further, maybe down where the I is, create a text box, something like this. Okay, and then fit your type in here. I think your type is pretty large. You're probably at 12 or 14 points type size here. I'd bring it down to 12 tops, maybe even 10. So what that's going to do is that's just going to really create this symbiotic relationship between the type and the image, and it's going to eliminate this effect of placing the type right over the image, impeding the view of the image for the viewer. Okay, so again, in summary, left align headline, left align subhead. Okay, then create a text to body copy, something like that. Combine these two paragraphs into one. I think maybe white type might work over here, but try it. You might try the purple, might try the white. If you do use white, don't use full white. Use white with a little bit of gray so it doesn't advance so much in the composition. As you can see, full saturated black or full saturated white has a tendency to advance in the composition. And that's something you don't want. You kind of want this to be a reciprocal relationship. You want it to harmonize with the background, not to advance from the background. So if you use white type, just don't use pure white, just use white with a little bit of gray in it. You could even sample one of the colors out of this surf somewhere and use that. Try it, see what you think. Then at that point, what I would do is I would take the logo and I bring it all the way down to the corner here. At that point, what you can do is take this address area and place it over to the left-hand side. The reason I think the logo is better on the right-hand side is because this is an exit strategy. So we typically look at page composition. We start in the upper left and move right, left to right and top to bottom, meaning this is an exit area for any given composition. So we might as well use that to our advantage to reinforce branding by placing the logo in that exit area. So the viewer, that last thing they'll see before they leave the page is the logo, which will reinforce the branding for the viewer. Okay, other than that, I think it's a good start. It's a really good start. And I think with just a little bit of fine tuning, you are right in there. If you have any questions or comments, or if I can make any further clarifications, please let me know, and I'll be glad to do so. It's really important, though, that you ask me, get with me quickly on questions, as we'll be starting work on the banner ad very soon. If you want to go ahead and adjust this and resubmit right here, that's great. If you want to work on it, adjust it, and submit it in a couple of days to this form, that's great too. Or you can always email me for comments. You can also go right in the general comment section of the discussion board, whatever is most convenient for you. But I would like to see these changes that I mentioned reflected in your final magazine ad, which is due in a couple of weeks here. So make the changes and then you can start working on the banner ad. But like I said, if you want to run anything by me, please feel free to let me know and I'll be glad to make additional comments on your adjusting work. All right, great job. Thank you very much.